now.
Good afternoon, folks. And again, we have another episode of Catchin and Killin with Kirk
And Country.
Today's episode is going to focus on proper dove field seedbed preparation.
That's right. Gotta be good. Last year we wasn't too good.
We
Didn't turn out good.
got a little late start last year. We had a last minute ordeal on a fishing trip that we come up with the plan of the dove field idea. So kind of threw it together last year, but it all came together. I wasn't able to make it, but these other guys,
we had a good time.
They were able to make it, so it was all good. And we came up with a name on the fishing trip called Mr. Billabroomite
Yes, sir.
Dove Hunt. And this year is going to be the first annual.
That's right.
Since last year we just threw it all together.
And it was
at
the
the
first
last
annual.
minute.
So now we're having the second
First annual. And that's fitting, considering we've had a little more time to prepare for this one, considering it's middle of May right now, so we've got a couple, about 3.5 months to opening weekend of dove season. And so we got plenty of time to get ready for it this time. And folks, all you really need is your PPE, your personal protective equipment, such as what Country's got on here, a good old shirt, a good old pair of shorts, and some flip-flops. And sometimes a hat and glasses, just a good old personal protective equipment. And of course your equipment to get your dove field ready, which is nothing more than your good old John Deere 5205.
Four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel dig. It'll do it, four-wheel dig. Of course you need you a disc to break up the main bulk of the clods, the dirt right quick. Then you're gonna need a hopper, obviously, for your seed and your fertilizer spreading. And a har, good har to cover up your seed bed after you done got everything planted out.
So the crows don't eat it all.
Yeah, you don't let the crows eat it all, that's right. Which brings me to another part of our episode today. We've got special guest, biologist Legal, with us today. And he's gonna talk to us about the proper seedbed preparation and the chemical makeup of the soil to get it just right, so that you'll have a good, successful germination of your seed. Go ahead, Mr. Lee. I'm glad you're with us today, Legal.
I'm glad to be here.
I'm proud you live with us today.
Proper seedbed preparation and proper chemicals with your soil. You basically, as Kirk said earlier, you got to have that proper seedbed. You want your you got to have your disc and your hair. You got to have it broken up real well. We didn't do that, of course, last year.
We didn't do that.
We had clots that were about so big. That's not good for seedbed. Basically, you want enough soil on the top. You want it good and loose. As you can see, we got a good bit of moisture in this. We had a light little rain last night.
We timed it out perfect.
Not too bad of a rain, not enough to wash it out, but enough to give us a good bit of moisture in it.
That's right.
You want to be able to cover up your soil, or cover up your seed with about 1/4 inch of soil with the use of a harrow.
That's it.
I ain't never been able to figure out how they know how much soil to put on it, but that's what they say.
But it works.
But it works.
Nothing more than getting with your county extension office on this too.
Exactly.
Folks.
Your Mississippi State County Extension Office, they'll get you in touch with the right people. Another important thing is your soil sample. You need to get a sample of it and get a soil test done so you know how much your proper NPK, which is your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
That's right.
Which will in turn put you in the right place for the correct fertilizer.
That's right. Which in this case we're using
888 fertilizer.
888. That seems to be a pretty good mix on the fertilizer. You don't want to overdo it. Don't want to put too much fertilizer, especially on the field to try to get it germed up, because if you get too much on there, it'll burn the seed.
And it's $3 cheaper a sack than triple 13.
That's right. And that's another good point. It's cheaper, and when you're prepping the field like this, cheaper is always better.
Cheaper, always better.
Cheaper is better. And in this case, folks, we're using the good old brown top millet, as I got here in my hand. I think it's got about a 60-day
germination period, I think.
Maturation.
60-day mature period.
Right.
It'll seed out in that time, and then you can come through and do a little bush hogging, prep it for the birds.
Right.
Hopefully it'll bring a few in.
Right.
Prep it for a little bit of wheat that had to come in later.
Yeah, and that's another good point these guys make, is that when you get closer toward the end of time for the dove weekend opening, about 2 or 3 weeks, and your buddies go to asking, you having any luck? anything coming in to use the field as you brown top in our instance had come up or whatnot, if you have any luck, any birds coming in, and what would you tell them, folks?
A few.
A few.
All right, that's right. You always tell them a few, and I'll tell you why. Because you're covering all your bases when you tell them a few.
You ain't lying to them. As we stressed before, you don't want to lie to your buddies.
Don't lie to your buddies. They don't like all that.
Right.
It ain't right anyway.
Right.
So you just go ahead and tell them a few.
A few.
And that few, folks, could mean a few crows, a few pigeons,
A few blackbirds.
a few blackbirds,
A few buzzards.
or even a few doves, which in this case is what we're trying.
Or a few deer, which destroyed the field last year.
Last year, that's right. Them deer found it and cut them sunflowers down pretty good. So so next time, you know, they get closer to time and they're not out here helping you plant the field, and they want to know how everything's coming along, you just tell them, well, yeah, we got a few. We got a few. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're gonna wrap this episode up by saying a few is the correct answer to give you folks or your buddies or whatnot when they're wanting to know how much luck that you might have come opening weekend. And that, we're gonna wrap up this edition of the Catchin and Killin adventures with Kirk
And Cuntry.
and a special guest,
Legal.
Legal. That's a wrap, folks.
Y'all have a good one.